Good evening and welcome. SpeedGaming 5 for more Super Metroid Triple Bingo Tournament action. Coming your way here with a race between LomionJones and MrCab. We're going to get that card revealed in just a moment, but where are my manners? I need to introduce myself or my illustrious co-commentator, Ace Zero. What's going on, Ace?
Hey there, Hockey. It's going very well. I'm really excited for this match. It's my first time on commentary for SM Triple Bingo. So far, had a lot of fun with the qualifiers and watching the races that have happened thus far. We should have another good one here.
Absolutely, absolutely. The qualifying rounds were incredibly heated. We now have an established tournament bracket. And LomionJones, I think, coming in at the number 10 seed overall. MrCab not far behind him at number 23. But yeah, the runners have readied up. We're just getting ready to get this show on the road. And there is the card. Alrighty. It looks to be a great one. Let's have a closer look, Ace.
All right. All right, so we can see already a couple things getting marked on the card here. We'll be in just a second. We've got anything that's skipped is by default marked for the racers. And I guess we should start out by explaining, for anyone that's not familiar with this, since it is still the start of the tournament, how this triple bingo thing works. So each runner has to complete 3 rows, columns, or diagonals on the card. The first to do that wins. No requirement to beat Mother Brain or anything like that, like you may be used to seeing. And of course, they can change their minds on what rows and columns they're choosing to do throughout the race. Does anything stand out to you, Hockey, as really appealing or really something you wouldn't want to do from first look at the card here?
Well, going by that center square, I really like that center square. I think that's a pretty good anchor for this card. But Plasma Beam can be kind of time consuming because I think our runners are going to absolutely want to get gravity. But it does dovetail nicely if you do some of the wreck ship tiles for sure. But finishing Spring Ballroom, we're looking at Ice Beam at minimum, possibly Grappling Beam. But yeah, this is I think this is a pretty tractable card. What do you think, Ace?
Yeah, it's I think the Spring Ballroom seems kind of interesting with Defeat Crocomire already on the card. Maybe makes it easier to get the Grapple Beam, but of course skipping High Jump Boots is always tough. I'm looking at this one, and I see Plasma Beam on there twice, so that might be something to pick up. Go for a row 3 and column 3, since Plasma Beam grabs both of those. The Criterion missiles aren't too bad. The Brinstar missile recharge station, so that row 3 looks really appealing to me at first glance. I'm not sure where else you can go. There's not a lot in Lower Norfair. We see Screw Attack there at down in row 5, column 2. That one seems a little bit rough. I don't see a lot of synergy for that unless you go all the way to Ridley, but I don't think anyone wants to do that.
No, for sure, for sure. Not a lot of heavy collection ones. We do have 75 plus missiles, but our runners could get to 75 in no time at all. But chat pointing out pretty astute observation. There's a lot of super missile related tiles, and so that might be the play to really track down those supers.
Yeah, that's a good point. The 30 and the 25 super missiles, if you're going to get 25, which it's hard to avoid that being the center square, it's a little bit tougher to navigate around. 30 is just one more pack. It does become increasingly harder to get any additional packs with there being, you know, a super missile all the way down at Golden Chorizo, and the one in the shaft here that the runners are just falling down right now is pretty hard to route back in some cards. This one doesn't have a ton of collection in Brinstar, so that one might be a little tougher to get these folks.
No, for sure. That criteria super is a very, like, I completely agree with you, Ace. It's very difficult to route back in, and requires speed booster and ice beam or something to get by those booyahs. But before our runners can traverse through Zebus and complete their 3 columns, diagonals, or rows, they do have to pick up a few items here just to get things jump started. But yeah, I think this is going to be a really interesting pair of races. So be sure to stick around on Speed Gaming 5 because LomionJones and MrCab will be completing 2 of their races tonight. This is a best of 3 single elimination tournament, and the action is definitely heating up in this first round. It's on the tail end of the qualifying. Should be a really great tournament from start to finish.
Yeah, absolutely. We see potentially slightly different strats from our runners. Maybe Lomion stopping to look at the card at the top of the elevator. MrCab having a little bit of difficulties with movement. It's really hard in bingo to be able to move cleanly and play the game well while you're trying to figure out what you want to do on the card, because the runners didn't get any advance notice on this card more than we got. They saw the card right at the start of the race and have to figure it out while playing the game, and that's extremely difficult.
No question about it, Ace. This is certainly the most cerebral type of Super Metroid speedrun category as any of the forms of bingo. But to make things even more challenging, last time Tracy and I did comms on the qualifier, she pointed out that compared to double anti-bingo, I mean, double anti locks you into a specific row or column or diagonal, whereas this is like, it's like a sandbox. Like, our runners have to be very careful with their decision making and their routing to complete these tiles, and thus the rows, columns, diagonals as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's kind of a double-edged sword that they have more freedom to make their choices, but also too much freedom to make choices sometimes.
No, for sure, for sure. But just a little, gotta get those vanilla bombs, gotta fight BT. Bomb Torizo. Love that opener from LomionJones, or that little hop, landing those pea shooter shots, getting good missile drops here. Just one more cycle, and BT will be defeated. But no bomb-related tiles, I don't think, this bingo card. But certainly a very necessary item to progress through the rest of Zebus.
Yeah, you can't get any other items with the exception of ceiling E-Tank and the beta missiles without getting these bombs, so definitely required. And now we have some potential opportunities for divergence here. Both runners, there's not a whole lot on this card that's gonna stray anybody away. We might see somebody skip that Brinstar reserve tank. It is on the card. I would expect both runners to pick it up. That's sometimes one of those that it's so quick to get anyway. It's early on. You maybe aren't settled on your route, even if you're not thinking you want those rows or columns. You might just pick it up anyway. Only one map station on here. We don't. Sometimes criteria map station gets picked up early as well. We don't have that on this particular card.
Ace, I think that's an excellent point about the Brinstar Reserve. It's like the old cliche, like it's better to have it and not need it than to need it and not have it. I saw an interesting decision there from MrCab. I really respect the decision to forego the Alcatraz escape. A lot of runners spend a lot of time with repeat attempts at Alcatraz, and it just ends up costing more time. So better to cut your losses and go around the intended way. So good heads up play from MrCab. But looks like LomionJones will get those early super missiles. Of course, those are necessary for vanilla as well as bingo categories. But MrCab not far behind. Just gotta get those supers as well. And yeah, it does look like LomionJones will be skipping that Brinstar reserve, Ace.
Yeah, skipping the reserve but picking up these extra missiles. So you could be collecting all 60 Brinstar missiles. That's a bit of a tough one, but column 3 isn't otherwise so bad, especially if he's going to be grabbing the plasma beam for either row 3 or column 1. Or maybe just getting towards that 75 missiles. And we also see Lomion going for the... This is the missile recharge, I do believe. It's easy to mix this one up with the map station, but that's one of the 2 Brinstar missile recharge stations, so it looks like he is going to be trying for either row 3 or column 5, making progress on that objective.
Yeah, I like that decision early to commit to that missile recharge. I think that's a good idea. And it does look like MrCab has picked up that Brinstar reserve, so he's on the board with column 1, row 4, getting things started. I just love this ace. I love how it unfolds. I love trying to get into the runners' heads, get into their decision making. It's really quite interesting.
Yeah, you can sometimes see these thought points, like exactly right now, MrCab thinking, do I want to go for these missile recharge stations? Is it worth it? Is that a tile I need for my route? Should I get it anyway? But decides to move on without it. Just progress further in.
I did notice, Ace, that he unlocked the door with a super, so it's available if he comes back to Brinstar and wants it.
Yeah, I think if he comes back for it, it'd be hard for him to come back for that unless he decides to do something that requires the Brinstar missiles, or maybe 75 plus missiles, since there are a lot in Brinstar, even if you don't get all 60, which I think I mentioned that when Lomion was in the Brinstar reserve tank area, but he didn't get the missiles in the back, so he's not going for all 60 missiles. We do see early Spore Spawn missiles from MrCab, or supers rather, I'm sorry. But hard to tell what he's going for with that. Always nice to have those early.
Yeah,
a little extra utility, and helps you towards the card.
Yeah, I think he's trying to stack up on those super missiles. That was really clean execution. A lot of times you see that kind of backdoor disposable supers with power bombs, but doing it with regular bombs and getting a really nice setup to land that super, destroy that super block. But Spacer Beam for LomionJones, enhancing the capability of that arm cannon. But definitely, I wonder if that Spacer pickup ace is because Lomion's going to be skipping wave.
Yeah, there's a good chance of that. Skip waves, it's hard to pass up on a free tile like that. We could see him choose to pick up wave anyway, but wave's a little bit out of the way, and there's nothing else on the card that it really helps with directly, with the exception of some boss fights. So I think that's a good point. Probably picking up Spacer for the extra damage, just to make some of these rooms a little bit easier.
Could be, could be. MrCab's made his way through. Green Hill Zone gonna cross Newbridge, so no. Well, we don't know if there's gonna be no Spacer for MrCab yet, but LomionJones going into Kraid's Lair. First boss fight of the game for LomionJones, and MrCab also going down Red Tower, so no divergence yet in terms of route, but definitely different pickups. And now Lomion's gonna consolidate, grab that. Or wait, is that still considered Brinstar? Yeah, the missile refill.
Yep.
I was thinking, like, they don't have to use it, do they? But no, you just have to reveal it.
No, that's a good point to clarify on the card. Visiting map stations, missile recharge stations, they don't need to get used, but you have to go in the room. Elevators are a little bit different, like the Criterion and Meridia elevator. If they so choose to activate that tile, they have to actually go up or down the elevator. I'm not sure if that one makes a lot of sense. I mean, it could potentially be quicker to get to Meridia if the runners have everything they need elsewhere and just want to go to Meridia to do, say, Botch Wound, get some super missiles, get Space Jump or Plasma, which it looks like they're going to have to do some Meridia action on this card. There's almost no way around it. They might choose to take that elevator to get there.
Yeah, it's a really good point. That is kind of the game does intend to go kind of Forgotten Highway and down into Meridia, but yeah, like you said, Ace, this card, our runners are gonna be hard pressed to not spend a significant amount of time in Meridia, even if they want the super missile. tiles because there's a ton of supers in Meridia.
Yeah, a ton in there, and the super missile pack in Lower Norfair is a little bit further out of the way than any of them in Meridia, so trying to replace it with one there is not usually advisable. We
I
get a
really
little
like
bit
that.
DLC content from MrCab here.
I really like that setup that MrCab had for the crate quick kill. He almost got it on a backup, but oh, terrific stand-up fight there from MrCab, wasting no time, just absolutely laying waste to Kraid there and grabbing his virus suit. Very nice fight.
Yeah, that was a very nice cleanup. That doesn't always go that well when if you miss the quick kill, it can get out of hand very quickly.
No question about it. No high jump and only one E-tank. Like you said, it can go off the rails quite easily. But LomionJones is into Business Center now, into Upper Norfair with that Varius suit, able to protect himself from superheated rooms. Got some nice damage reduction too. Varius suit is, I think, an understated item in the Super Metroid item pantheon. But gonna pick up high jump. So he cannot get the defeat Croc and skip high jump boots. He has not skipped high jump. He has done the opposite.
Yeah, I think with this card, that's a pretty good decision. I'd be hard pressed to pick that either row 5 or sorry, row 2 or column 5 myself. Moving around with high jump is pretty rough, especially if you get the speed booster, which doesn't really directly help you with a lot. It helps you with some movement around Meridia, but otherwise doesn't really contribute to too much on the card specifically. There's not a whole lot of E-tanks to need Waterway or anything that's hard locked by Speed Booster. There is collect only one of Speed Booster and Grapple Beam, so we'll see if our runners opt for Speed Booster. I can't imagine Grapple Beam would be picked up here. Even if you're doing Spring Ball, it looks like just getting Speed and Ice might be a better choice.
I have to concur, Ace0, on your assessment. Picking up Ice and Speed over Grapple. Because going to Croc is so time-consuming just to get that Grapple Beam, just to get the Spring Ball. And you know, if you're going to defeat Croc, you're going to want to skip high jump. And like you said, with it's hard enough to move through Zebus without high jump boots, but to have speed without high jump boots is absolutely even more challenging. We are going to have a speed pickup here from LomionJones. MrCab, though, going with Ice Beam first. So definitely has access via Ice Clip to Spring Ball. But yeah, still kind of interested what our runners are going to do here. This is going to be, I think Ace is going to be a slow burning card.
Yeah, I agree. I think that tends to happen in a lot of these where you're making progress towards a handful of goals, and then near the end, everything just pops up on the card at once, and it's almost just overwhelming how many things show up. But yeah, this one doesn't have a lot of very specific, pick up this item and skip this one that are just, if you did it and it's done, but a lot of the handful of E-tanks, handful of missiles, handful of supers, they're gonna work on those gradually. MrCab does appear to be skipping those high jump boots. That explains the early Ice Beam. Okay, I was a little confused why he got Ice Beam before Speed. But if he's skipping the high jump boots, that gives him faster access to the business center. I think that makes a lot more sense in his routing.
That's a gutsy play for MrCab. I really like it. Love to see runners take high risks and get rewarded for them. But LomionJones already back into Business Center, having grabbed that speed booster, using that Frog Speedway. And gotta imagine LomionJones is going to be picking up Ice here. Or just going right by it. Holy smokes. So, gotta be making a beeline for Wrecked Ship.
Yeah, Lomion's route has he's been pretty on path, with the exception of the missile recharge stations. Kind of what you'd expect from an any percent run, a little bit more so than what we've seen from MrCab.
I just love the utilization of that Ice Beam at Bubble Mountain. Just Absolutely textbook from MrCab. Love to see it. But LomionJones with an Alpha Spark ace here. I don't know about you, but Alpha Spark just really gets me going. That was terrific.
Oh yeah, it's a nice trick. It always feels good to get that first Shine Spark and know you did something right, you know. You're 1 for 1 on Shine Spark attempts. It's not a huge time save, but it feels good and it looks good too.
No question about it. Nice red tower climb from LomionJones as he heads into Hellwig and grabs some power bombs. And MrCab can also grab Speed Booster. Gonna have that boosted speed, as well as Shine Sparking ability.
Yep, and that's both of our runners with that collect 1 of Speed Booster or Grapple Beam at this point. It does seem like MrCab's going for that row 2 then, since he skipped the high jump boots, and remembering he did not get the Brinstar missile recharge station, so it doesn't look like that column 5 is on his agenda.
Right you are, Ace. Right you are. But, oh, looks like MrCab's either going for just the wave, going for the double chamber missiles, or he will be picking up Wave Beam. And that's gonna take away Skip Wave Beam from MrCab.
Yeah, if he has no intention of using that tile on the card, Wave does have some utility as a damage source. It can make your boss fights, if you're going to be doing Fantoon and you're comfortable with X Factors, if you're going to do Botwoon and Dragon, and again, you can use X Factors on there, that's it's maybe not a bad idea to grab the Wave Beam anyway.
Absolutely. That 1-2 combination on Dragon with the you know, Shine Spark into X Factor, just a classic technique, very effective. And LomionJones heading to Gauntlet here. Plenty of energy, a couple power bombs. Gonna have to use normal bombs here at the beginning. But see MrCab, no high jump boots, so it is pretty tricky to get through some of those passages in Norfair that presume that you would have high jump. But he's still looking extra sharp here, looking really good.
It's nice to see how many differences we have already on the card and what our runners are doing. Looks like that row 2 for Lomion, or sorry, row 3 for Lomion getting these criteria missiles. I imagine that's what he's here for. Probably grabs the E-Tank. We've got 3+ and 6+ energy tanks on the card that he's working towards, but I'd imagine this is for the criteria missiles as much as it is for the E-Tank.
Absolutely, I completely agree, and those are really, I was just thinking about it, Ace, when you read off the cards, 3+ and 6+ energy tanks, those are really generous tiles from a pickup standpoint. Like 6 energy tanks is really not that many out of a possible 14. You know, we've certainly seen some double digits, or maybe it's like 8+, but those are good tiles to have.
For sure, especially with like Botwoon on there, it's going to be really hard to avoid that. That's a free E-Tank that costs almost no time. MrCab's probably going to be in the Crocomire E-Tank because he's going through the Croc fight right now. And it doesn't look like he's going to pick up the Grapple Beam since he got that Speed Booster, but we'll see. If he does, that's going to remove that tile. This will give him the Defeat Crocomire and Skip High Jump Boots tile, though, for row 2.
Absolutely. So definitely committing to either row 2 or column 5. MrCab is. Sentence structure is important, but I never learned that. But LomionJones back into Brinstar, or I should say Criteria here, and making his way downtown to Retro, or perhaps going for the Criteria Supers.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate that. Going down for possibly even old Mother Brain missiles. Those are criteria missiles. And then he can come up through that shaft and get the super missiles here at criteria to work on one of those super missile goals. And then kind of route up into Wreck Ship from there. He's already going to be climbing up.
Absolutely. We're overcoming a few technical hiccups here, but we do see Lomion picking up, as you said, Ace, the old Mother Brain missiles and heading right back to the climb. And oh, I like this. This is really interesting. Not going with the Criteria Supers and sparking up the climb. That was very clever. But like you said, Ace, firm commitment to the Criteria missiles. Collect all 40. And Lomion's well on his way. He's grabbing 230 here.
Yeah, this is his, I believe it's his 4th pack, unless I've miscounted. He'll get the moat, and then there's 3 outside of the wreck ship that are fairly easy to get as you're passing through, so that should be all he needs for that tile.
Oh, that's right, because there's sky missiles and the ocean missiles, and then the one in between the sky and ocean missiles. Who knows what that one's called?
Mid-ocean? That's what I say.
Mid-ocean, I like that.
I don't know if that's
sky?
official.
I don't know.
Maze missile, I've heard that one too. I always
Yeah.
forget that that's a maze, because I know the answer.
Right, chat always coming through for us, A0. Maze missile. Thank you so much, chat. But MrCab has skipped Grapple Beam as you predicted, Ace, but defeating Crocomire, and now probably heading back to Business Center, I'd imagine. But LomionJones crossing. I assume he got the moat missiles. We didn't quite see it, but he's into wrecked ship. I wonder if he's going to be visiting that map station too.
Yeah, that's another one that's easy enough that if he's not 100% confident in all 3 of his rows and columns, which it looks like he's confident in row 3, probably column 4 and something else.
Right.
I don't know, hard to say from a viewer standpoint, but if he's not super confident in all 3, he might grab that map station, even if it's not what he really wants to do. You see MrCab coming back up, like you said, probably towards wreck ship. That ice beam's going to help out a lot, not having high jump, making this climb a lot easier through Red Tower.
Oh yes, absolutely. The intended strategy, freezing those rippers. But Lomion's gonna have his hands full here, Ace, with a ghost. The ghost of the wreck ship, Fantoon. Energy is, I think he can work with this. I definitely am confident that he can work with this. But no saves from either runner, so a little bit dangerous, but nothing our runners can't handle.
Yeah, having the various suit helps out quite a bit. I think if it were suitless, it'd be pretty scary. With the various suit, doesn't have to worry too much or play too cautiously. He just peppers those missiles into Fantoon, making good progress.
Yeah, those 2 Dopplers in those opening rounds were really, really sharp. Nice job, Lomion. Just gonna finish off the ghost here. Sitting at about 67 HP. Just waiting for that doggone eye to open up. Beautiful fight. Finishes off Fantoon. Activates the power to the wreck ship. But MrCab charging through Hellway, trying to get back to the surface of Criteria. And likely headed towards wreck ship himself.
Yeah, and he did grab the Crocomire power bombs, but he's getting the Alpha Peebs while he's here. Potentially going for that 30+ power bombs tile on there. But more likely just, well, I don't know, maybe just feels more comfortable with 10 or wants to have Crystal Flash ammo in case he gets in a pinch with low energy tanks.
That's a good, really good point, Ace, about having Crystal Flash ammo. I mean, we all know that Crystal Flash takes 10 power bombs, but you have to activate it with a power bomb, so it really takes 11. Minimum of 3 packs necessary to Crystal Flash in this game. But I did not see Lomion go to the map station, Ace, but we do see him picking up the right side supers, so definitely stacking up on super missiles.
Yeah, it feels like as we've kind of transitioned from the early part of the race here, really from both runners, It looks like a lot more confidence in their routes. Really, the biggest difficulty of movement. It looks like MrCab having a little bit of trouble with the high jumpless movement. Otherwise, it feels like both these folks are very confident in what they're doing. There doesn't seem to be a lot of deliberation or stalling, indecision, if you will.
Absolutely, they've been making their money, Ace, and now it's time to get paid, and get paid they will, with a bunch of tiles. But yeah, Lomion looks heading up into attic. Got to grab that gravity suit, but a bunch more missiles to grab. All three outside the wreck ship for Lomion. But having a little bit of difficulty managing health here for LomionJones, but might have to do a little bit of farming.
Yeah, he's getting a lot of big health drops though, which is very nice. I think he got 4 or 5 large healths in that room, and luckily he's got the extra supers in a vanilla run. You're not necessarily accustomed to getting those right supers. Having a few extras is really nice to clear through the attic.
It's like I always say, Ace, more ammo, more better. Especially when it comes to supers. Oh, so this is firm commitment from MrCab for the 30+ power bombs. We're going with landing sites PBs as well as alpha and beta PBs. This is a good play here for MrCab.
Yeah, we'll see what he's choosing to do with it. Doesn't look like row 5 is on his mind. I really like column 1 for him. I think if he's going for the power bombs, column 1 makes the most sense. Potentially can still avoid that spring ball trip since column 5 appears to be out. But yeah, column 1's not too bad for MrCab from where he is. Let's him take a nice safety save and get a health refill before going into wreck ship to do his Phantoon fight.
I love it. I think it's a heads-up play from Cab. That's definitely what you want to do. Enhance survivability. Make sure you can complete the card as you like. But Lomion gets a little breather here at bowling. Gonna grab that gravity suit. And then I think just, you know, once you have the rest of those criteria missiles, I think it's got to be Meridia. And it's got to be supers.
Yeah, he's pretty close to 75 missiles as well. He might pick some up on the way to Meridia, but it seems... of course, other than these criteria missiles, which gets him that 40. But yeah, it looks like almost everything else he's got to do is in Meridia for his tiles. He'll get some super missiles there to put him at 25. He can get the plasma beam, space jump. Can hit that criteria Meridia elevator from the back, right by the plasma beam room. That actually routes really nicely.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. I'm looking forward to seeing what LomionJones will do once he reaches Meridia. But MrCab is getting strapped up for a fight. The fight of his life against this doggone Phantoon boss. Just what a trolley boss. Chat pointed out, Ace, that if Lomion had had a mid pattern during his Phantoon fight, he would have gotten Sunrise surprised and would have died, which is crazy to me. Just such a lethal boss occasionally.
Yeah, and there's positions where you really don't expect the mid. I don't know if that was a left or right start, but if it's a left mid is you're just not ready for that. At least I'm not, ever.
For sure, with it being such a rare pattern, no doubt about it.
Yeah, MrCab's actually had a little bit less health than Lomion did coming into this fight, both in capacity and what he's got full, but hopefully he's got a comfy Phantoon fight incoming.
I think he's got full reserve tank, too, from that ship refill.
Well, that's true.
Let's think. We're frozen in time. We'll be right back. But hopefully Phantoon goes very well for MrCab. Ace, I think Cab's doing a great job managing these flames. Hasn't quite gotten the Dopplers to connect, but that doesn't mean he can't. Fantoon trolled him with a fast pattern on the second time around. Oh, he has enraged Fantoon, Ace, so landed a super by accident.
Yeah, I didn't get a count of how much damage he has in Fantoon, but he's looking pretty close at this point. Should just be one more round based on the color. It's hard to tell on other people's monitors, of course, and their stream captures, but just a little bit shy. Should be able to finish up with one more open. Sometimes just managing the fight and keeping it under control is more important than doing it quickly, just to make sure you survive and leave with good enough resources to move through the rest of the wreck ship quickly.
No question about it, Ace. And MrCab has done it. He's busted the ghost, finishing off Fantoon and restoring power to the wrecked ship, able to go to all of its rooms and pick up whatever he likes. But LomionJones is into Meridia grabbing those crab supers. So you got crab supers, aqueduct, watering hole. So that's 15 more for Lomion.
Yeah, that would put him up at 30 super missiles. If he chooses to get 2 of those 3, he'd get 25. MrCab is going for the wreck ship map station. Doesn't need to activate the map station. Maybe just not sure of the rules, or maybe taking the moment to think about his plans. Not a bad choice either.
I love it. It's for me, it gets a positive grade, Ace. I love the map. I love the map station. Great game feature. But Aqueduct supers for Lomion here. Also regular missiles, so maybe catching up on that 75 plus missiles. We might.
Yeah, he's at 70 right now. Unless he might be at 75. I don't think so. It isn't marked on the card. I trust our tracker.
I think we're gonna get a upper left, lower right diagonal from Lomion. Although I'm having a hard time seeing, what is that finish in what room?
In Kraid's room. That's pretty far away. It's obviously it's an easy tile, but it's not easy to route in from Dragon or from the plasma beam.
That's an excellent point, but I could see him also doing column 2, but that screw attack tile is just so time consuming. Oh yeah, obviously row 3 is a lock for Lomion, there's no doubt.
I think that column 4 is as well, since he's going to be getting the plasma beam. That's the closest you're going to get to the Criterion Meridia elevator. But yeah, I think you're right, Hockey. I think that finishing Kraid's room is probably the best thing he's got to pair with that, to do that top left to bottom right path. As we see MrCab make his way through the wrecked ship. I believe he picked up both of the super missile packs here as well. So he should have 20 super missiles, making his progress towards 25 or 30, which both seem likely for him to be picking up here.
Yeah, it's getting extra close, and of course with Meridia next as the next destination after wrecked ship for MrCab. Plenty more supers to pick up, as we just talked about. But LomionJones is probably going to grab these precious missiles, and that's going to give him 75 plus and that upper left tile.
Yeah, that's true. I'm still a little bit curious what the third rower column that MrCab is going for. Unless I'm missing it. It looks like row 2 and row 4 are locks based on what he's been doing so far, what he's got available. I'm not sure what goes best with those.
Yep. I'm not sure either, Ace. But I know he knows, so it's only a matter of time just to see it unfold. could be anything. But he might be thinking. Maybe row 1.
I'd say either row 1 or that bottom left, top right with the extra power bombs he picked up.
Oh yeah, it's an excellent point. Excellent point with those power bomb pickups. LomionJones is locked into this combat cycle with Dragon here. Just all that ammunition, just pounding that red belly. All those super missiles.
His health isn't great to do too many shine sparks, risk that chain damage, but it's nice coming in here with all that ammo. It does a great job of firing off all the supers and a whole bunch of missiles to finish off the fight.
Yeah, it was a terrific fight. I love the absolute fusillade of missiles there at the end. Just absolutely giving Dragon the business and getting that coveted space jump. So that's going to very nearly complete column 4 for LomionJones. And so, yeah, this is really nice. Really nice routing from LomionJones here. Going to get Plasma. That completes row 3. And then grab... You already got Space Jump. Visit the Criteria Meridia elevator. And, yeah, that'll complete column 4.
Now we see MrCab grab some extra missiles here before he leaves Wreck Ship. Working towards that 75+ goal.
I do like the choice, because he doesn't have the 40 Criteria missiles. I don't think that MrCab has been collecting those. So getting those Wreck Ship reserve missiles, I think that's a good play to just boost that overall count.
Yeah, I agree. Without being boxed into getting specific missiles, he's just thinking, okay, which ones are the quickest, which ones are the closest to where I am, and what else is on path. So instead of going all the way down to Old Mother Brain, for example, he's going to grab those. Not sure what his capacity is. I would have thought maybe he would grab the ocean missiles on his way out, unless he grabbed those on the way in, which is a potential option.
That's a good point, Ace, that he may have grabbed those on the way in before he got Gravity Suit from the Wreck Ship. But definitely looks like he skipped him here. But Plasma Beam for LomionJones, that's going to complete row 3. And now it's just, yeah, hit the elevator and go to Crate.
You just got to get rid of these pirates first. It's going to be a little bit trolly. They jump back and forth.
It's a deceptively difficult room, especially without the full beam combo at that point in the game. Plasma Beam by itself is so skinny. It doesn't have a great kind of contact hitbox there.
Yeah, and some of the better strats for that room involve shooting through the floor with Wave Beam that you sure can't do without the Wave Beam. You see MrCab getting that statue destroyed. He's going to have to wait for 2 statues, which is really not a big difference, but has to wait just a little bit to get that tile. Getting pretty close to row 2 himself.
I think chat pointing out, Ace, row 2, row 4, column 1 is most likely for MrCab. But, as we said, LomionJones is on the very cusp of finishing his card here with that diagonal.
Yep, and he rides the elevator up, and he has to ride it back down since he doesn't want to be up in Wreck Ship anymore.
Yeah, that'd be a tough routing. Tough routing to go from Wreck Ship to Kraid. So he's probably going to take... Gosh. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know where he's going to go. I'm excited.
We back down the toilet, and then out through the way you normally come in.
Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. That's, of course, what he's going to do. I was thinking, like, is he going to take the toilet? And it's like, I don't know, I got a little got a little hung up on where I thought it led instead of where it does lead. But that's, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so often you leave Meridia through up to the top of Red Tower, you know, out of the Everest through the
Right.
fish room.
And for some reason, the tile set outside of that red tower, I guess, entrance is Blue Brinstar. I love it. Because why not? It makes perfect sense. But yeah, this is really impressive stuff from LomionJones here. To route in that diagonal, finish up that column.
And while he's on his way to Crate, MrCab is grabbing some extra power bombs. He's got just one more pack to go. I think he's got one more pack to go. He'll either grab the Mission Impossible ones or potentially the right sand pit. That seems like it might be a little further out of the way, unless he's going to Spring Ballroom, but we'll see.
I think that's a great observation, Ace. I do like the power bomb tile. It definitely, possibly putting in that, putting in the bottom left, upper right diagonal for cab, maybe instead of column 1. But we'll be right back on LomionJones' screen. Just bear with us as we wait for the stream to refresh. So he just a single doorway away into Craig's room, and that will do it. That is a finished card for LomionJones.
Nicely done, GG. And I totally forgot about these power bombs that MrCab is grabbing.
Oh
these
yeah,
are definitely faster.
Heck yeah.
I think he didn't forget them.
So LomionJones finishes in first place with an official race time of 44 minutes and 35 seconds. GG's to Lomion. Yeah, there's a little bit of deliberation in the race time chat about whether MrCab will continue his card or just forfeit.
Yeah, sometimes it goes either way, even as a runner deciding whether you want to continue. You know, if you've already made a lot of progress, sometimes it's nice to finish it out. Sometimes it's nice just to move on and not tire yourself too much trying to go fast for, you know, be able to take a little bit of a break before the next race. Looks like he's continuing for now, on his way to Meridia.
And it looks like MrCab has forfeit, so finishing in second place is MrCab. LomionJones taking the first race. But you sit tight, because we're going to have another race right after this one. We're just going to take a very short break. And yeah, we hope you stay put and hope you watch the next race. So we'll be right back.